Welcome to the High Value Sales Show of Eversprint.com. I'm Malcolm Louie, the managing member of Eversprint, and today we're speaking with Tim Shoop, the president and CEO of Digital Boardwalk, a provider of managed and professional technology services to small and medium-sized businesses. Welcome to the call, Tim.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Tim, you grew your company's revenue from 1.2 million in 2014 to 2.2 million in 2017, an 81% increase, and in 2018, you hit around 2.6 million. Before we talk about how you grew your company so fast, can you briefly share what your company does beyond my quick intro and how your company differs from the competition?
Sure. So Digital Boardwalk, we're a managed IT services company. We provide IT management to small and medium businesses throughout the U.S. We're one of the larger MSPs in the Southeast throughout Florida and Alabama. So we provide IT support, backup services, cloud computing, and of course the big buzzword in the industry right now is cybersecurity. Everything we do focuses on that. So it's become a large segment of, with the growing number of threats on the landscape, it's become a big focal point of Digital Boardwalk. Our customers range from small business mom and pop shops to very large scale healthcare providers and law firms, and we handle their infrastructure, their backup and disaster recovery, their cloud computing with hosted DAS environments, and everything in between. So it's fun.
Yeah, tech is fun. How do you differ from the other managed service providers out there?
So we have a strong focus on, and I don't know if this is really a true differentiator, but I like to think it is because a lot of our clients point it out to us. We have a strong focus on process management and workflows. So everything that we do or touch has a determined or predictable outcome. I learned and read a book many years ago prior to starting Digital Boardwalk that pretty much changed my life. It was a book called E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. I don't know. Have you heard of that?
I did. It's a very famous book, in fact.
Yeah, someone recommended it to me, and now I recommend it to a lot of other businesses that I come into touch with. But that book changed my life, and from that point on, everything I do has a systemized approach to it. So from the time we onboard a client through to offboarding and everything in between, there is a specific process in every segment of touching that client, and they rave about it. The other differentiator for us, and this is something we spent the broader portion of 2018 on, is NIST, which NIST compliancy is basically it's the how do I explain it? It's the final rule for the Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation Supplement, which now DoD contractors, any contractor dealing with the government must be NIST qualified in order to sell to the government. And by hiring Digital Boardwalk, within 3 weeks, we can pretty much have a contractor 100% NIST qualified.
Nice. What does NIST stand for?
So it's NIST is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and the specific part of that special publication 800-171. So.
Okay, got it.
So if HIPAA, PCI compliancy, FINRA, all these other compliancies, if anyone has a NIST standard, pretty much encompasses all those other compliancies.
Okay. Now, you mentioned earlier about one of the growth areas for your business is cybersecurity. So this, if you can let me fulfill my geeky tendencies a little bit. One, how do you protect against unknown vulnerabilities that you don't know about? Because the ones you know about you can patch, but the ones you don't know about, how do you protect against that? And then the second one, I often find that the biggest weakness are the people, right? They just click on the wrong links, they give out the
Right.
wrong information, and then the bad guys can put all the pieces together and get in. So, what are your processes for protecting against those two vulnerabilities?
So it's I guess you want to call it a multi vector approach or strategy. Um, there's multiple touch points, multiple points of vulnerability in a business where hackers can get in and they don't, it doesn't discriminate anymore, whereas before they would go after these large organizations. They use bots now and bot networks and it's organized crime, as far as ransomware and those types of things go. I mean, it's no secret. Everybody knows what I'm talking about if they listen to this interview. But endpoint security, obviously, at the user side of things, there has to be a really good antivirus, malware protection, and those things. So those have to be implemented. I mean, that's basically your antivirus software. We go a step further with malware, perimeter security, the proper equipment in your network closet, along with content filtering to filter out a lot of the bad stuff before it enters the network. Email security is a big one. We actually, one of our largest partners, who actually happens to be 3 miles away from my business, I know the founders there, AppRiver, who was just bought out by Zix, and they're now Zix. You may have heard of them. We are a big partner of theirs. So from the email security side, you can only do so much if the email reaches the user, and the user, there's two parts to that. If the user's not educated, obviously they're going to click on that, Netflix attachment or FedEx, or UPS or whatever it may be. So what this company does is, in partnership with us, we filter out all those things, and then in addition to the automation part of it, we have humans in place that actually review the headers of all those emails coming out of Russia or Romania or everything to see if anything was missed. So in addition to automation, you also have the human element, which is only looking at the headers, not the actual email content. So where was I? So that's a big part of it. The other side of it is user education. You have to go a step beyond just telling users don't click on things. We do bogus phishing attacks inside of the customers that hire us for that service. And so we'll actually set up the administrator in one of our clients, somebody that'll be our point person in there that knows what we're doing, and we'll send bogus phishing attacks to their users, and the users are scored based on what they click or how they respond or if they forwarded, and it maintains a scoring system for those users, and the administrator as well as us can see who clicked those phishing emails. And the ones that do have to go through a set of tests and get scored on those tests and watch videos. So they go through an ongoing user education course. We actually have 2 courses that run each year, and they're 12-week courses that the business can hire us for. Internet security is another one. All of our managed services at our best value tier instead of doing them as add-ons, we actually include DNS security and multi layers of security in that without going into it too deep or getting too technical, it's all included in our best value package. So our customers actually inherit all those layers of security when they hire us.
Right.
Whereas a lot of our competitors, they do them as add-ons.
Mm-hmm.
I see them more as value for what we already do.
Yeah. Yeah, my old company, a global investment bank, they actually did that, did a phishing test, and I clicked on it and got the notice that that was a test.
Oh no!
Yeah. Well, I'm in the client-facing role, and every time you get emails, you need to respond rapidly, right? That was the thing. No client wants to wait for a response, so I'm kind of just in the nature of the work, you respond quickly to everything. But then after that, now I'm like thinking, okay, maybe I just shouldn't click on anything at all, right? Because I don't want to get flagged as someone who clicks on links, and I don't want to go through additional training stuff. So I'm just kind of wondering if there's some unintended consequences of these sort of things where people just not do the work so much, right? Because of that.
Exactly.
But getting back to your growth of your business, right? You went from 1.2 million in 2014, and then 4 years later, you hit 2.6 million. What would you say were the three biggest drivers of that sales growth?
Well, number one, in 2014 specifically, I was approached by the largest copier company in the Panhandle. They're a 35-year-old company, about a $22 million company. They approached me. They said, hey, we're running into your engineers a lot in the same accounts, and all we hear is good things about Digital Boardwalk. And I heard the same things likewise about their company, and they approached me and said, hey, we want more than just a strategic partnership. We want to get a little deeper in with you. And I said, okay. I said, well, I'm not, my business isn't up for sale. And so what they proposed was, we just want to come in as minority investors and tie our key players to your business so there's more skin in the game. Whereas Digital Boardwalk has 3 salespeople, we have 25 in multiple markets, and we want to sell your products. They had the choice of either buying or building their own IT department or partnering with a company and getting a little bit more deeper into that. And with that, I underestimated, I'll be honest, I didn't take it too seriously in 2014. We got serious in 2015, and then we signed that deal January 3rd of 2016. And, between 2016 and 2018, we pretty much doubled in size, both with our job count here and with our revenue. And, they say every company at some point has bumps in the road. They were good bumps to have, and we got through it. That was in 2016, and that was just me underestimating the what would happen after we signed that deal. I said, oh yeah, we might get an extra couple deals a quarter, try a deal a day.
Wow. Now this other company, so they were a copier company.
Yes, yes, and so it's a big trend in that industry. They're starting their own IT departments and becoming more technology encompassing focused, so to speak, instead of just selling a piece of equipment and walking away. With everything interconnected now, they can't just walk away. I mean, they need more, more technology prowess and overarching technology to be able to maintain those customers, because in order to differentiate as well. So they brought us into the mix, and neither one of us have looked back, and it's been a great marriage.
Fantastic. So what they did is that they provide copying equipment to businesses. That was their
copying equipment and document management services, which we now offer through that partnership.
Okay, great. Now, is it now do they have exclusivity to you in regards to selling your services, or can you find other partners? Okay.
Yes, it's pretty exclusive.
Okay. And now you said they had like 23 salespeople. Like, do they have the reach nationwide?
So they are regional. So whereas when we came into that deal, we had about oh my God, at the time, thinking back, we probably had about 200 or 300 customers, maybe 400 customers, whereas they had 6,000. So these relationships were already hot, and that is through their reach is from they're headquartered in Pensacola. They're actually, I can throw a softball from my building to theirs. That's how close they are.
Okay,
Um,
pretty good.
they have their headquarters here, but they operate in 8 offices, stretching to Panama City, Tallahassee, Montgomery, Alabama, Birmingham, Gulf Shores, and a few other locations, but mostly regionally from here to Birmingham to Panama City to Mobile, Alabama.
Okay. So what if you wanted to do work in the West Coast, California? You're not able to do a partnership out there then, right? You need to lean on your regional partner or do it yourself.
No, I can. I can do partnerships outside of the area, whereas they don't have a geographic reach there.
Right.
I would
Okay.
obviously talk to them first and about any deals outside of there, but they don't care. They don't have any interest to go that far out. They just want to stay regional. They've got a proven track record. So yes, I could form a deal, say in Los Angeles, which is actually where I moved from, and I have a lot of contacts out there, and some of those conversations have been had, I could form specific strategic partnerships like that. I actually have a partnership with a cloud company based out of Dallas that opened up the Texas market to us. We now have somewhere about 15 or 16 clients in the Dallas-Fort Worth area now.
Oh, fantastic. Now, is that your primary source of new business, forming partnerships?
So it's a big deal for me because I've always believed there's powers in numbers, large power in numbers, whether it be the people you bring into your staff or outreach. And I believe strongly in strategic partnerships. I even believe in reaching across to competitors and having coffee with them and seeing how we can collaborate. Not everybody is as accepting as some of them, but the ones that I have met with, it's been very positive. So I'm looking forward to building more of those partnerships and those types of things. It's been a big push for us.
Now, would you say the market in the region is where you are now is saturated or still a lot of growth potential?
So it's interesting. When we started Digital Boardwalk, let me kind of go back a little bit, if you don't mind. I mean, when I moved here from the West Coast, this would have been in 1998, I started a small break fix shop here. There were literally 2 other break fix shops in the area. Pensacola was pretty much behind the times. Students that graduated from University of West Florida here, which is our college, which has a great computer science department, by the way, they would move elsewhere because they couldn't make any money here. So they would move elsewhere, start families in other areas of the country. That has changed. And Pensacola is really growing rapidly thanks to a lot of people that have moved here that are helping to build it up. And we're actually seeing the landscape change dramatically. To answer your question, what was this specific question again?
Is the Pensacola, Florida, Alabama area, is it saturated at this point where you need to look outside of that region?
No, I believe in the way it works in our industry is IT companies, if they're not doing it right or they miss something, it creates a pain point for the customer, which is a big focus of mine, not to create pain points, but to alleviate pain points for the customers. So our retention rate's really high, but we notice that a lot of competitors will slip up. And so we step in. And what happens in our industry is they will start Googling, the customers will start Googling and bringing in other IT firms to get second opinions. And we generally come in and take over at that point. So from a saturation standpoint, I see a lot of small shops pop up each year. I see a lot of small shops go away each year. The ones that can make it over the hump are the ones that aren't just tech driven, but the ones that are overarching business focused and qualify to, that know how to run a business. We have a multitude of backgrounds here at Digital Boardwalk, with a primary focus obviously on the tech, but sales, marketing, accounting, we have a huge sales and marketing approach. So we are, we're out there. And from a brand recognition standpoint, everybody now knows who we are. Whereas when we came into the space, it was tough, especially during that time, because it was at the infancy stage of the managed services concept, whereas people weren't used to paying a monthly fee for IT services.
Mm-hmm.
That's changed. So we're seeing a lot of break fix shops add managed services on as a line item instead of embracing managed services for its core value. And I call that a billing model, not a business model. We're a managed services business model, and that's what customers should be hiring if they want real managed services.
Right. Got it. So from what you share with me, it sounds like you don't really need to go beyond the current region where you and your copier partner currently are working. Sounds like there's plenty of business there for you to grow your business.
We don't need to, but I don't discriminate.
Right. Yeah. You won't turn away business from California, right?
Right. And we have a big push down in our Lakeland area too, which just happens to be nestled between Orlando and Tampa, which is a much larger market than Pensacola. We've done well in Pensacola, but it's nice to be able to, work in our community here and bring money into this community, as well as inject money into that Lakeland community and be community focused and focus on the community and give back. So I like the idea of, working in Texas and some of the other areas in the country and letting that money flow back into our economy here.
Right. So your first driver you shared with me, a strategic partnership, one in particular, the one with the copier company, big driver of your sales growth. How about drivers number 2 and number 3?
So the second driver would be, as far as our growth, I like to think it's our processes. I would combine these together because I think it's our processes, and then you can treat talent as number 3. We don't treat HR as just bringing people on because we have to bring it on. My true feeling inside is that the people are the drivers of your growth. The people you hire are the people that are touching and retaining your clients each and every day. I mean, we can go out and sell and market to new businesses all the time and grow the company that way. But it's just like saving your money, right? That you make. A lot of people brag about how much money they make. It's about how much you keep that brings you growth personally, and financially in a business. Customer retention is a big thing for us. So we want to do as much for the customers as we can. And part of that element is employee retention. We invest in our employees. We do a lot of things for our employees, and we don't just hire. Our hiring process is, we don't meet someone and on a hunch say, oh yeah, you're hired. They go through 3 different interviews. They go through a stringent background check because of our customer base. And it's not just personality interviews. They go through technical testing. They go through soft skill testing, because these are people, and it's at the end game, it's relationships that matter. And when you're in the service business, I don't care what it is, if you're in the plumbing business or the managed IT services business, we're in the relationship business, and it's people working with people that matter. So I would say the HR element, let me hone in on that, is a big piece, and then combine that with our process management. Like I talked about earlier, eMyth changed my life. Our process management is bar none, best standards. And I follow that formula pretty stringent in everything I do, and we teach it to our employees and our staff, and we do, we have a huge focus on teaching it in the community. I'd say number three, as far as our growth drivers, if you wanted to give it a solid number three, is our community involvement. We don't believe in just growing our business and, and just being selfish with it. We get involved with the community. I am a huge sponsor, and I have been since its inception 5 years ago, in a event called EntreCon, which was started and hosted by Quint Studer, who is a very respected entrepreneur in our community who built his business and sold it, and has started multiple and mentored multiple other businesses in the Pensacola community. So he started an event called EntreCon 5 years ago. I jumped on right away because I have a huge passion for entrepreneurship, and we're one of their larger sponsors and have been, and I really believe, I speak at that event, and it has a huge following. And he also does mentorship training for businesses in the community and brings other businesses in to teach in that, and I've done that as well, and that has been a very large differentiator for us. We also give our employees paid days off to get involved with a charity of their choice, and volunteer.
Now, would you say that your community activities actually led to more business for you, generate business for you?
I do believe that. It's funny, because we, yeah, I do believe that. We have a lot of, brand. It's easy to be able to brand and go out there and put up billboards and do all those things and whatever, but it also, it does two things. It's very stale. Hey, we want more business here. This is us. This is what we do. Let me put it out there. It's very stale, and it also affects your bottom line in a big way. We go about things using relationships and future relationships. So networking within the community, getting to know other business owners, getting to know other people that are volunteering in the community, working with different organizations in the community. I believe every business owner or leadership in businesses should be involved to that degree. I mean, that's why we call ourselves CEOs and business leaders. It goes beyond just running a business. You have a larger obligation than just building the business that you're sitting at, and it all stems from community.
Sure. Now, how do you juggle between spending, I don't know, say 3 hours doing some sort of community-related event of some sort versus spending 3 hours talking to 3 potential clients? Which would you go for?
I schedule everything out.
Okay.
So it is tough. I would say it's tough doing everything we do. But in the end, I have a process for everything. Like I said, everything is process driven, and everything is scheduled. Everything is followed with due process. So if I have a customer that needs to meet with me, it's scheduled, scheduled based on our calendars. And there's a process we follow once we touch that prospect for the first time. I mean, we have to go through due diligence, make sure it's a fit, make sure that we can solve the problems that they want to hire us for, and properly assess their situation, and then develop a solution around that customer. We're not a one-size-fits-all shop. We don't believe in selling the same packages to every single business. We custom develop those packages around our solution offerings and build that specifically for each business we touch. It takes longer to do that. It takes a little longer to put those packages together, but it's a winning driver of being the hero at the end of the day. And it's funny you talk about time because I coach baseball. I've got an 8-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter, and we have baseball, Cub Scouts, basketball, school events, all these things stacked on top of growing and running a business, networking with the community, getting involved with the community, and all these other things that we do. But as long as I make a point to be in the gym an hour a day. It's part of the process. And as long as you can create a continuity to it, you can do anything. I mean, I believe anybody can do anything they achieve as long as they stick to that continuity. I mean, I sit down with my family every night at 6 p.m. for dinner. I believe in that.
Right. You schedule what's important and make it happen.
Yes.
All right. So just to recap, the three biggest drivers for your business. One is that key partnership with the copier company. That's really allow you to grow your business really rapidly because they have 6,000 relationships that they can leverage into. The second one, combined together, would be having processes and the people to execute those processes. So it allows you, from my take from our conversation, it allows you to find the right people because one, you have a process to find them. And two, once the people join, they have processes that they can learn and follow so they can execute what's been working for your company. And then the third one is networking in the community, both on a couple sides, right? One, you're giving back to the community, and two, it's a people business, like you said, relationships matter, and you meet the people, and over time they may have business for you. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Awesome. Switching gears a little bit and looking a bit forward for 2019, what's your biggest sales and marketing objectives?
So I'll start with marketing. We are adding in quite a few things. I know when you first contacted me prior to the interview, you saw all of the fun toys in the background. We are, from a marketing perspective, it is 2019, and video is a key point to getting your point across. People like to watch videos. I know that because I go home every night. My son is on YouTube. I don't know about you, but YouTube is a big resource. So we are providing, this is just one piece of it, but from a marketing perspective, just to kind of give you the overarching view, we do a lot of stuff with social media. As I said before, Google is everybody's best friend. So we focus on retargeting and advertising on that platform, which has been a big lead generation driver for us. We do a lot of stuff with video, both on our website, through our email marketing systems that we use, and through education, which is a big piece of this year. So we'll be putting a lot of educational videos out. We're launching our first workshop series here in the community, which we'll be hosting here in the community, bringing in partners and doing really large scale workshops. Not going in and saying, hey, these are the things you should be doing. This is what we do, and now buy it from us. That's not what we're about. I believe that if you can educate customers or prospects or the community in general, I believe that is a obligation for every company to educate in their specific industry. And if that company decides to hire you at some point, great, they've chosen the right company. But so workshops are a very large driver. We are from a sales initiative.
Before you jump into the sales side of things, you mentioned a few things that you're planning on doing marketing-wise, right? The video content, the email marketing, the community workshops. Now, what's your objective? What KPIs are you looking at to measure how well those things that you're doing are doing? Like, what are your targets on those KPIs?
It's really cool because we use KPIs for everything. I talked earlier about processes in-house. Our entire help desk is KPI driven. We have dashboards that we have created. We use probably about 15 different dashboards that aggregate our data and then tie them into KPIs and then build them up on these big dashboards. So for the help desk room specifically, we have dashboards specific to that, our project and implementation room, and our sales, which is this topic. So on our sales, we can predict, we can forecast what's in our pipeline. We can predict where we'll be hopefully in a month, in a quarter, and in a year. and we use multiple analytics that tie into that. And we have specifics. So like this year, I told you we were at I think we ended the year at 2.6. This year, we're looking to hit somewhere between 3.1 and 3.5 million dollars. And this is all organic lead generation growth. This isn't through acquisitions. Like a lot of customers will show big growth in their companies, and a lot of that comes from acquisition. All of ours is organic. So we use dashboards. We're looking at 3.1 to 3.5 million this year. And I have dashboards that I look at for all that, and we don't use. It's interesting because we still only have 3 salespeople internally, even though we have the 25 salespeople through the copier company. So I can't give them quotas, obviously, but our people in here have certain quotas to meet as far as new meetings, but not closings. I feel that's not responsible when I know you're probably sitting over there thinking I'm crazy. I don't think it's responsible to the potential customer that we're talking to, because if everything's based on sales and that salesperson has to get that deal, they're going to try to pull out all the stops, and sometimes that can break the integrity of what you're trying to achieve for that customer. So I don't actually use quotas.
Okay, makes sense though. I mean, because not everyone's ready to buy at the very moment that you're speaking with them.
Absolutely.
So, what are your KPIs for getting new meetings? How many meetings do you think you need to get in order to grow your business from 2.6 million to 3.1, 3.5 in 2019?
It depends on the meeting, right?
Yeah.
So the sales cycle here ranges anywhere from 2 days to 8 months, depending on the deal. Obviously, very, very large deal can take 8 months. We're actually working on one of those right now. Obviously, if that one closes, we could be halfway to our goal. But I would say it depends on the deal. It's really hard to answer that question because I can get 100 little deals, or 2 large deals and meet that goal. But in order to keep the gaps filled, we generally focusing on getting 2 to 3 meetings a week.
Okay, and what would be the nature of those meetings?
So the nature of them, what type of meeting it is, or what type of industry, or how we go about it.
Well, in terms of your sales team's metrics, right? And you're talking about a meeting. Is it like a meet and greet that would count as a meeting, or would it be a discovery call or discovery?
Okay, so exactly. So generally, we're contacted by the potential customer, and the first thing that is done is a discovery meeting. So there'll be it encompasses a meet and greet and discovery all in one, and that's usually at a conference table, talking about pain points, talking about specifics, talking about their objectives and what they're trying to achieve and their goals, their short-term goals and their long-term goals. And then from there, depending on the scope and size of the company, depending on the scope and size of the company, we may or may not have to do an entire assessment after that. But I would say 7 out of 10 times you have to do a full assessment. So the next thing that will happen is our project and implementation team will be scheduled to go out and do an assessment with the customer. They'll bring back information, photos, and other things that will help us build, using the data from the discovery meeting and the assessment tools, we'll be able to put together a custom package for them. And all of those things that I just talked about usually happen within a week, of meeting that client for the first time. And then the proposal is usually out to them within a week. If not, it's the second week. And then, there's a follow-up meeting to present the proposal, go over literature, talk about the next steps, and see if there's anything else that they want to discuss or put together. Then it goes to it goes from a proposal to evaluation. We have 7 stages through the sales process, and every time it changes stages, it changes in our system, which fires out notifications and duties onto the specific people within Digital Boardwalk that need to do their part. And then it turns into a mini project for each one of them. As I said, I'm process managed, so everything follows a flow.
Okay.
And then once that deal's closed, it goes through an onboarding process where our tools are installed on their machines and things are ordered and pieces and parts are ordered. And then once we get all that done, the project's completed, then the project implementation team does a complete handoff to the help desk team. Project and implementation team generally manage the account 30 days into it, so they can develop out any further processes that they find, since they're the ones that already touched that customer, instead of a cold handoff to help desk. And then it goes to help desk, which is also fully staffed under our roof. We do not outsource.
Okay. Now, to get 2 or 3 meetings a week, what's the plan there? What does their team do, or what does your marketing team do to generate those 2 or 3 meetings a week?
It's a secret. Now, we use a series of social tools through. See, I know a lot of companies still do cold calling, but with the, I call it harassment, with the inundation of these robocalls and all these things that we're all experiencing right now, I feel cold calling is dead, because we're deadened to it by these robocalls. So we use a series of social tools, from LinkedIn targeting campaigns, through LinkedIn Navigator. Have you heard of that tool, Malcolm?
I have. It's a great tool.
It's a fantastic tool. So we use LinkedIn Navigator to look up demographics and target different verticals. And we use campaigns and follow a specific regimen before we'll actually, reach out and go, hey, would you like to meet? Because there's a getting to know you period. We use other social tools. AdWords, like I said, is a big driver of ours. We have allotted a large budget to that, and it works if you set it up properly and do it. I have a really good feeling about these workshops we're developing, because as opposed to just a simple lunch and learn, lunch and learns, what I've learned about them is they're free, and it's a free lunch. Who doesn't want to go get a free lunch, right? We don't want to do that. We want to be able to provide real value. We don't want to just come in there and give a free lunch and sell our services. Our goal is to provide value. If you provide enough value to the community, they will come.
And so are you provide the value in your workshops, but are you going to have a call to action of some sort to encourage those people who want to learn more to take the next step with you, whatever it may be?
Yes. So once they come to the workshop, they are obviously, once they meet us, we put them in buckets. Mm-hmm. And those buckets deliver different messages to them based on their needs.
Right.
And then from there, it at some point in the process becomes a meeting.
Right. Okay.
Without getting into too many specifics, because there's a lot of, quite honestly, if you're familiar with, campaigns, from email marketing to social campaigns, if you do it right, there are multiple layers, and we have the same thing. I mean, it's not just, hey, let's meet, this is what I offer. There's a series of layers to that strategy.
Right. Okay. Now, I fired up my tools before we did our call to do a bit of research. I didn't see, unless you're doing your paid campaigns to a different domain, I didn't see any ads running currently, pay-per-click ads on Google to digitalboardwalk.com. Are you running your ads?
Where are you?
Where am I? I'm in Austin, Texas, but I have tools that can do research on the ad campaigns that companies are running to their domains, and I didn't see any. Are you running your ads to?
We have a lot, and they target different areas of Florida and Alabama specifically.
Okay.
So from the Panhandle, Pensacola, Panama City, all those areas, all the way down to Lakeland, Tampa, and Orlando, specifically the Lakeland area. We have targeted campaigns in those areas, coupled with retargeting campaigns. Heck, I was on YouTube last night, and one of my ads, I was pretty proud of that. One of my ads showed up in the YouTube video I was watching.
Ah, good.
So what
did you
happened?
pick on yourself and charge yourself $5?
No. But the way retargeting works is obvious. I mean, cookies drop on to their machine, and it follows them around, and then it'll continue to advertise your services to them. And we found it to be a very good strategy for getting your name out there.
Okay, so you're doing retargeting ads as opposed to straight up pay-per-click.
We do both. We do both. We have a several thousand dollar budget in that arena just for that, and then we have a several $1,000 budget in the LinkedIn area per month.
Okay.
And then I would say the only other advertising that we do is all local community based. We have a minor ball team here during the season. We have huge videos there during the game. Everybody goes to those games, and then we get involved with these different events like EntreCon and Studer Community Institute.
Mm-hmm. So is the marketing that you've outlined to me so far, or I guess one question. One, you said you're just starting the workshop now, or you have been doing the workshops already?
We're about to launch them. They're not launched yet. They're actually launching this quarter.
Okay. So the funnel that you have that you outlined in terms of putting people into buckets and delivering different messages over time, and leading them to a meeting at one point, you don't have data on that just yet.
Not yet. No.
Okay.
It's brand new, based on research, based on what we wanted to achieve. We feel strongly that this is going to be the year that more companies in the area know who we are.
Okay,
through those workshops.
You developed your marketing for the workshop all in house, or did you outsource some of that?
All in house. We write pretty much everything you see on our website, everything that if you Google us, there you'll find all kinds of different things that either we've written or interviewed for. Everything is written in house, and then aggregated into SharePoint. Mm-hmm. And we have we have miles long of several mile long different folders with different content that we've written. And most of the content here is written by me and my partner. But starting the beginning of last year, one of the goals for all of our employees each year is to write a training piece so they can teach other employees on something they're really strong in, because training is a huge initiative here. And B, write something customer facing. And all that gets proofed by management, and then they get credit for it, and it goes out as that user, and we'll push it out.
Right.
I mean, that employee, I'm sorry.
Okay. So going back to your target of getting 2 or 3 meetings a week, have your systems and marketing that you have in place now, are you getting your meetings? Are you hitting those targets now so far into the year?
We are. We've actually clocked January 2019 is the strongest month ever in the history of Digital Boardwalk in regards to top line revenue and profit.
Okay, great. So how about in terms of meetings, like how many meetings did your systems generate for you in January?
Oh gosh, I'd have to pull up a dashboard, but I'm not the key salesperson here. Kathleen is. And actually our VP of sales is my wife, if you didn't already figure that out. But looking at the pipeline, and our management meeting was Monday, so we are currently meeting with, I would say she's working two dozen customers or prospects at the same time. We just closed a deal. We've closed 2 or 3 deals this past week. And throughout January, we probably closed an average of at least a deal or two a week.
Okay. And
Um,
that will put you on pace to hit your targets.
yes, and then and that's all outside sales. But there's another driver to revenue, and that's inside sales, meaning our existing customer base. What I found was there's this is interesting because we didn't always do this. I think we initiated this back in 2014, which is again the start of this big climb for us. What we found was customers would reach out to us when they maybe wanted something, but not necessarily when they needed something. And what I mean by that is computers reach end of life, right? They have an end of life. Our systems identify that end of life. Our systems identify when a computer's not supported anymore by Microsoft. And it also identifies other things. If the computer can't handle their current line of business applications or anything like that, somebody has to identify that, and that's our job. So what we did in 2014, we added KPI in for our employees in the help desk room, specifically the ones that are working with the end users at the customers, to identify those things and have those discussions with the end users and with their management teams to talk about these end of life machines and things like that, so they could drive the the growth and the evolution of the businesses that we're supporting. And that it's a big driver, obviously, for revenue here, but it's a really, I'd say, a much larger driver of retention, because our customers are getting what they hired us for, and that is the all-encompassing, hey, we want you to tell us what to do.
Yep.
We always did it. We always identified those things, but it increased once we added that KPI and some things tied to it, obviously, for the employee to have that incentive to drive that. And it's huge. I mean, we do, I'd say, with our current client base, just in inside sales, those guys in the back are probably selling 60 to 70 different items a month.
Right.
So
yeah, well, just like what was it? Was it Richard Denning? I think he's the one who said, "What that gets measured improves."
right.
By putting that KPI, now you can improve that measure, right? Because you're tracking it and you can see the improvement.
Yeah, key performance indicators are huge. I mean, we identified that. It's the only way you can. I forget what I used to say in the early days of Digital Boardwalk. I said you cannot. This is it. You cannot manage what you cannot measure.
Yes.
You can't manage what you can't measure. It's the same thing with the services we sell. We're able to measure all these different things for our clients in order to be able to manage them and give our staff visibility of what they need to see, because we're not there physically 97%. We only roll a car 3% of the time. 97% of what we do from here at our office. Got to love the internet, right?
It's fantastic.
Our landscape. It's changed everything in the world. And once high-speed internet came into play in the mid 2000s, where it really became more more prevalent, we're seeing a huge growth pattern across the world, and it's all because of high-speed internet. Look at this meeting we're on.
I know, it's fantastic. I'm sitting here in Austin, Texas, and you're out in Florida.
It's amazing. And that's why, you asked me earlier, do we limit, just looking for clients in the Panhandle, because there is enough business down here. But, if we can do the same awesome job for a company in, I don't know, in Idaho, I'm all about it. And, I want to show them what we can do, because I don't believe all managed service providers or all plumbers or all accountants or all whatever are created equal. I believe that you can do a better job than another company if you put the time and effort into building the pieces and parts specific to your company, instead of outsourcing every single piece. There are things that I do believe in outsourcing because you want to focus on that customer, but I do believe you need to build specific pieces and parts and things that you can measure within your organization to grow it. We outsource certain things. Obviously I don't want to manage benefits.
Right.
I don't want to manage, I want to review payroll, but I don't want to manage it. I don't want to have my bookkeeper manage it. I want them to use teams that are much larger than ours to manage, all the little pieces so they can do their jobs. And it's just like that with our customers. They want to focus on what they do best, so we manage those pieces for them. So
right.
Outsourcing is a key to growth, but it can't be your everything.
Yeah, exactly. 3 last questions for you. One, if you had if you had a billboard for Digital Boardwalk along a freeway that's moving at a good clip, what would be your billboard message? And keep in mind that people only have 6 seconds to read and see your message before they drive by the billboard.
Well, I would use our slogan and just state it that way: plug into smarter IT.
Plug into smarter IT. That's a good one.
Yeah. We become, and our name, Digital Boardwalk, it's very unique, and we used that name because of the fact that, if you think about it, we use the internet as a boardwalk to bridge our company with our customers' companies, right? Even though we might be miles away from them, with the internet, you're now the IT department that could be down the hall because of all the communication tools we have in place. So it's really opened the door, I think, for a lot of entrepreneurs to come up with various ways to build new and innovative businesses, and it's a great thing. So I would say plug into smarter IT.
Yeah,
that encompasses what we do. I mean, we like to think we're smarter. I surround myself with smarter people to get my job done, and that's what I would say.
Okay, cool. And to recap again, who are your ideal customers, and what's the best way for them to reach out to you and your team?
So our ideal customers are obviously small to medium-sized businesses that either want a second opinion on their IT or want to outsource their IT provider instead of spending all the money to hire someone and manage turnover. Our key verticals above small and medium-sized businesses would be law firms, healthcare organizations, accounting firms, and of course, when it comes to NIST, which we focused on earlier when we were talking about cybersecurity, would be government contractors. So I would include that in there. And the best way to get in touch with us is there's 2 ways. Obviously, go to our website and check us out at digitalboardwalk.com and download our free ebooks that we host on there each quarter. We have a new one that we put out every quarter. You can download that ebook, get educated on cybersecurity or what to ask. If you're trying to hire an IT provider, it gives you the questions to ask. Even if you don't decide to hire us, you can go there and fill out the contact form as well, or call us at 855-350-2225 and ask for sales or Kathleen.
All right, got it. Thanks so much for joining us today, Tim, and sharing how you grew your company's sales so fast.
Thanks, Malcolm. I really appreciate you, and I look forward to doing more if you need.
All right, fantastic.
Great.
We've been speaking with Tim Shoop, the president and CEO of Digital Boardwalk, about his company's rapid growth. For interviews with other fast-growing, high-value sales companies, or to learn how we can accelerate your firm's high-value sales through automation, visit eversprint.com.